And that's when I realized like I could really just like head down and grind to make sure that I'm investing this energy and this time into myself and my own future versus building someone else's dream. Because I was always going to work that hard and I was always going to like care that much about my work. And it was just, who is it for? And so that was like my driving factor, and like to quiet the self-doubt of like, why, if I can do it for this person and then this person and then this person, I can do it for myself. I think the biggest thing to get from like 0 to 1 was probably like correct allocation of inventory. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I just didn't understand my size curve, seasonality. I was tweaking it was like V1. I'm on like V90 of all of these products of like fit. Like that was just a really crazy time of just like trial and error and testing.
Welcome to the DTC Insider podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisentul.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider podcast. As always, I'm Brian Roisentul, your host, and today I'm here with Dinah Chapman, the founder of Little Trouble. Hey, Dinah, thanks for being on the show. I know it's super early there in New Zealand.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for meeting me this early. I know you live very far away. I live very far away from the US as well in Argentina, but you live far away as well. How long have you been living there?
Yeah, I've been in New Zealand with my family for about 2 weeks now, but we were in Bali for about 8.5 months prior to that. So we just had like this breaking point in the States a while back and just said like, we have to switch it up, do something super different. So we looked at each other, said, when do we do it? And within like 3 months, we had sold our house, everything we owned. And then we moved about 6 months after that. And so, yeah, here we are. My time zones are my like arch nemesis at this point, though, because I cannot schedule calls months in advance to save my life because the time zone changes.
So you still lead the business in the US, living in New Zealand.
Yeah. So logistically, everything is the same. It's all in the States. I use a 3PL and I just manage it from my computer essentially. So time zone is basically irrelevant when it comes to that, other than my sleeping schedule has been a little haywire.
Yeah. And I mean, traveling is great. Like at least for me, I learned a lot every time I travel, and especially to that part of the world, because I traveled to the US many times. I traveled to Europe, sometimes to the Caribbean, let's say to other places, but I traveled to Thailand as well. That's probably the closer I've been to Bali, and I don't know, New Zealand, but to Bali. And it's a totally different culture, totally different values. I was there only for a month, right? But it's crazy what you learn, right?
Yeah, I'd been on this side of the world prior to this journey too. I did over a year abroad in my early 20s, but I was, not married, not with kids, not running a business. It was so different. I was just like kind of a dirty backpacker, but got to see how much I loved the culture in a lot of these different countries. And so that's why we ended up back in Bali, was for like a cultural difference and a different experience and access to like other countries and parts of the world where Australia or Cambodia was like a weekend trip or, a 1 week off trip versus that's a once a year thing if you're lucky from the States. Just the access to different countries was a huge part of why we chose Bali as a hub. But yeah, it's the inspiration you get too from like immersing yourself in a totally different culture and kind of like being a fish out of water and just seeing so many different things. That was like unexpected for me when we got there, of just like overwhelmed with inspiration and product ideas, and because it's so different and the style is different and it's like really cool. So yeah, that was fun for me on a personal level, and then for my kids too, like what a cool experience to just be immersed in different cultures, and that's what they're growing up knowing, which is so cool. Like my 4-year-old teaches me Balinese.
Yeah, prior to that, to traveling, prior you left the US and before you started the company, What did your life look like in the US?
Oh God, like the normal, just I was hustling, like, and I am working more hours now. Like, it's not that, it's not the hours you invest, it's the way you do it. And in the States, not that there's anything wrong with like the traditional grind, but I think it can burn people out really fast. When I started Little Trouble, I was also working as the marketing director for a large skincare company. I was managing a really large team, and Little Trouble started as a side hustle. So I was just like burning the midnight oil, entrepreneur at night and weekends, mom 24/7, and then marketing director with this large team of women I was managing. So just like drained in every category, but I had to have this start as a side hustle to really be able to get it to where it is now and have like my primary source of income as my 9 to 5, which was not a 9 to 5. I was working 60 hours a week at minimum, and then packing orders at 2 in the morning, and then feeding the baby, at midnight and 2 at 5 and whatever. So yeah, it was just like it's work, it's parenthood, it's entrepreneurship if you have those three combined, but then it's also like drop off, pickup, like all the normal things we do 24/7 too in the States with very little support unless you have like a family system around you. So it looked standard. Like we had, we bought the house, we had all the maintenance and the yard work and the business and the school drop-offs and the daycare and just really really like the recipe textbook for burnout. And I was in corporate burnout at the time as well, so it just kind of was this like Jenga effect where we knew I was like one piece from just a toppling tower by the time we made the choice to switch it up.
And when did you know that Little Trouble was more than a side hustle?
Yeah, so it's been 3 years since I started the brand, and the stages, looking back, like, I don't even know how I survived so long managing both. It was obvious. Like, I started in my garage, and then it grew into a bigger garage, and then we had shipping containers on our property, which ended up not being allowed to be there, so we had to get a warehouse, and, like, it just overwhelmed the shipping container, the garage, the inside of the house, the warehouse, and I was still working my corporate job. And I think I got into like hyper growth mode though, because I saw what was uh, possible. And if I was reinvesting everything into the business, I was like, I'm just like dumping gasoline on this like very timely fire. And I had the capital to keep reinvesting. And so that's why I did it for so long, was because I knew the minute I really made the choice to step away and I put all my energy towards it, if I could get it to a place where I was operating on like a decent cash flow basis, then I could really blow it up when I was full time. And so that's why I like hung on for as long as possible. But honestly, 6 months to a year before I made the official move, it could have been my primary. I just realized like dumping that capital back into the business was like my ticket to rocket ship growth. And that's what I wanted. So just like put my head down, and it's probably contributed to the burnout, to be fair. Like I maybe could have avoided a little bit of that, but a year and a half in is when I knew it was sustainable for myself to be my primary, but I didn't really step off the ledge until 2 years in.
We have in the audience many entrepreneurs watching or listening to this, some of them ahead in the journey, some of them behind, some are marketers as well. But regardless, they are all here to learn, no pressure, right? And be inspired by what you're saying, because many of these people, including myself, we all have dreams, right? And many times we are afraid, probably think it's not the right time, or that we don't have the knowledge to pull it off, or what if, right? So what could you tell to those people, early in their journey in the same position that you were back then, juggling, side hustle or even a idea while working at the 9 to 5?
Yeah, for me, it was always like I I think when you like have the entrepreneurial spirit, you just like putting you if you have that spirit, you're also most likely putting in like the sweat equity into your 9 to 5. Like those types of people have like ownership over their work and love to feel invested in their work. And so like you're putting in the sweat equity. It's just where are you putting it into who? And that's when I realized like I could really just like head down and grind to make sure that I'm investing this energy and this time into myself and my own future versus building someone else's dream. Because I was always going to work that hard and I was always going to like care that much about my work. And it was just, who is it for? And so that was like my driving factor, and like to quiet the self-doubt of like, why, if I can do it for this person and then this person and then this person, I can do it for myself. It's more doubt when it's for yourself. So for me, it was just like quieting that voice. And I've really learned like over the last several years, you can love advice and you don't have to take it. And that was like a game changer for my thought process of like, I can love advice, I can love feedback, I can love talking to people and like mentorship, but it doesn't always apply to you. Because that like was the voice I had to quiet in the beginning. I was surrounded by a lot of people who had built successful businesses or brands or worked for successful businesses and brands, but not all of that advice was applicable. You know, a lot of people had different opinions on what I should do to move forward or what my like ticket to growth was. And I think that's just all part of like quieting the self-doubt. And if you're tried and true and you know you can do it for somebody else because you're working the 9 to 5, like you can do it for yourself. It's just a matter of investing it and knowing like, I want the payoff for me and not this other person's business that I'm watching thrive. And it just shows that I can do it again.
Say we can all have these many times false feeling that we are not going to reinvent anything and we are going to be selling similar things to what exists out there, sometimes more and sometimes less different. There are some more competitive and less competitive spaces. In this case, in your space, what was that's the main reasons you feel that you were able to stand out and grow, because it's not an easy space. I mean, what space is easy these days anyway? But in your space, what was like, again, for those people wanting to start a brand and say, oh, but there are many like this. How were you able to, say, hey, pay attention to little trouble. This is what we're building. This is too fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such an applicable question given the times too. Like my brand is very social media driven. Like it was born on social. And then there have been, especially like post COVID, it's kind of gone in a lull now, but there were so many like pop-up brands. Like I was just getting like inundated with ads of like some real, some drop shipping, some totally fake. TikTok Shop came into the play at the time. Like that was huge. Temu starting to sell like mainstream products. Like it was just all of a sudden social media was like inundated with these pop-up fashion brands. And that was kind of all happening around the same time. When I started Little Trouble, there was an obvious market opening for me, at least in the States. There were some other cool brands in Europe that were doing like cool alternative clothing for kids. In the States, very cookie cutter. Like it was really hard to find what I wanted. I know that because as a pregnant woman, you spend way too much time on the internet at night, like scrolling, looking for like products.
About it. It comes every single day like, hey, I saw these. Hey, I saw these. And it's like, could you please stop?
Oh yeah. The influx in packages you start to get once you're pregnant, breastfeeding, like that journey is like so crazy. So I was like, knew there was an opening for what I wanted. I was basically just looking for like alternative styles for kids clothes, and the brands I liked that were cool, like these like direct to consumer disruptor brands in adults clothing. I wanted those for kids, and it like didn't really exist, like cool technical cargos and cool bomber jackets and these like pieces that I was seeing pop up all the time in these really cool D2C apparel brands for men and women. And I was like, wow, no one has a kids line. And you'd think it'd be easy to like you're tried and true an adult, open it up for children. It's actually such a crazy market because kids grow so quickly. There's such a massive size run, the depth of inventory you have to hold. I mean, I had a education is one way to say it as I started this business of just sizing alone for kids clothes. But so that's how I knew like there was an opening, because I just couldn't find what I wanted. And that's rare these days to not be able to find truly what you want. Now it's funny, 3 years later, I could find what I wanted on the internet now, and I would probably not have started Little Trouble had all these options been available. But it's kind of cool to know, like, especially in this like kids niche I'm in the States, I was definitely like first at the table with a lot of these things. And but in terms of how to like stick out and stay amongst competitors, like sometimes I let it get to me, right? Everyone does. And that's when like the doubt or like imposter syndrome or like, can I do this? Or is it worth it? There's all these options now, is because like there are so many key brands that we know of that are like just North Star, right? For fashion, for marketing, for branding in general. But there's like 10 of those brands in the exact same vertical, and we like them all for different reasons. And so I just remind myself like there are so many types of people, and we're split 50-50 on so many things in life. And sometimes we're like, how? But there's always people that want something different. And so I've just like kept that true to the core, and said like if I can just build the brand in like the aesthetic and the style and the way I want, there are other parents out there who are just like me with like the style I want. I'm like, it's very like millennial, like a little like Y2K vibes are coming back. Like it's just marketing towards a person who's in my exact stage of life. And you kind of like also said it just when we talked about scrolling, the parent category, the mom's pregnancy, it's like there's so much opportunity marketing to that demographic. The amount of things you need, the clothes are always, you're always sizing up. There's always new people getting pregnant. Like there's just so much potential. It would have to be such a saturated category for you to like not have an opportunity. But that's just how I look at like how I can stand out is I know who I'm marketing towards because it's myself. I'm in this current stage. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, and I wasn't able to find what I wanted on the market. And something that I've done now is like the way I'm really looking towards continued growth is going at brands where we like love them and they don't offer a kids category. And we're like, do you want to offer a kids category? Because we have like the tried and true recipe down for sizing, material, testing, fit, like all the things. So it's this like very turnkey, like fit, style customer base, and then brand and aesthetic and parent customer base. And like those, the merging of those minds is like really interesting.
Is that white label or
We're approaching it from a collab perspective, but there have been conversations about white label as well. And that's a potential.
that's great?
I get approached a lot about my blanks, which I actually don't have blanks. I do all cut and sew. And so I get a lot of inquiries about, can I buy your blanks wholesale? And that's for the material and the fit. So it's something that I would consider down the line. But for now, that is like a unique identifier. A lot of the like kids brands that you buy from, not knowing you are buying blanks or like a factory blank. It might not be Gildan, but you're buying a factory blank. And yeah, that comes with its own box that you're kind of put in. And so is like an avenue we could pursue. But the exciting part for me is like brand collabs.
Yeah. The other day I was talking to somebody, to a founder, and we were talking about something that we all mention these days, right? That it's to be an entrepreneur, we need to be crazy. We need to be problem solvers. It's a lot about that, solving problems. So in this case, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the understanding that this year you're getting to 8 figures. So you have under your belt a lot of experience of problems solved at different stages of growth. So I wanted to ask you if you had to say, or if you had to mention whatever you remember, about the key challenges that you went through before the first million, 1 to 5, etc. What can you say that is like those that left, let's say, a scar?
Yeah, many. I think the biggest thing to get from like 0 to 1 was probably like the correct allocation of inventory. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I just didn't understand my size curve, seasonality. I was tweaking it was like V1. I'm on like V90 of all of these products of like fit. And I mean, like, since it's cut and sew, like we're down to the centimeter on hood circumference or depth or ribbing or like the eighth material for the ribbing to make it like extra stretchy for a kid's head with more elasticity. Like it's so the first hurdle was just like entry into market, product testing, having enough depth to not lose momentum, but not having too much depth of a category or a fit that wasn't right. Like that was just a really crazy time of just like trial and error and testing. And also you're doing trial and error with your like initial customer base. So you want to be off on the right foot. You want them to love the brand. You want positive traction and momentum and feedback and reviews. And so it's like you're testing at the most volatile time because this is what matters. This is like sink or swim. So I think there were even some categories where like I held back, like I held the inventory, it hurt my cash flow, but I was like, we're not ready to like product or market test this yet because I need to make sure we like fix this or get this in a really solid spot so someone has confidence to buy this versus releasing multiple product categories at once and having like fit issues or material changes and stuff like that. So really like it was just merchandising in the first 0 to 1 mil of like, how do I have the right assortment, sell through, have the cash flow and continue to expand. I think from 1 to 5, and I had some duds in there. And from 1 to 5 operational challenges that I just like never expected. That was understanding like even warehousing. I moved to a 3PL in that time zone, in that time frame. I'm on my third 3PL it's now at this point. And like the challenges logistically of moving, like scars, lost inventory, bad customer experience, damaged goods, delays. I mean, like you name it, we went through it when it came to the 3PLs. That's like my biggest scar, I think. And then from going to 5 to 10, that's really a mind shift transition of like operationally understanding what's happening in the business to grow. It's the same things are working, but it's like finessing and fine tuning those and then trusting my gut on like bigger decisions because momentum is the key for me. Like when I sell out or I have an unexpected hurdle or something happens and I lose momentum, then it's like, how do I refocus? And you have to put a lot of capital into one place versus spreading the capital out on inventory, which was kind of my original thing. It was just reinvesting, keeping inventory. Now it's like working off of cash flow and profit and continuing to product diversify, but also like really invest in the right places marketing wise for the business. So I think like operational challenges were just tenfold. They still exist, but I feel like we're a lot more experienced and I've got it down to a certain capacity on that front. Really good relationships with my factories and in FaceTime in that first chunk was really important with my factories and just like understanding the process from A to Z. Now it's a mind shift and like, how do I really invest in the right areas, take those like big steps and keep propelling the brand forward? Because it's scarier at this stage. There's a lot more at risk.
Yeah, I mean, like they say, kids, little problems, bigger kids, bigger problems. I want
Totally.
them to grow up. I don't want for the problems to grow up too, but every time I
Yeah.
speak to, older kids, it's like teenagers or so, it's like, oh my God, that's waiting for me. I know. So yeah, but
Yeah.
with the business,
Happening and you're like, that's in my future.
yeah. So here we interview brands of all sizes, 7 to 9 figure is that we interviewed, brands like Patagonia and Disney, like giants, but recently, 9 figure brands, 8 figure brands as well. And they all say the same thing, the more they grow, the more complicated. And the next thing they need to do in every single area of the business is different, what they chase from 0 to 1 in the future. What about the team? Are you still wearing too many hats?
Yeah. I am still a team of basically two. So myself and then my husband is full time as of very recently. He does a lot of like operational stuff for me. His background is in supply chain, my background's in marketing. So it was a very nice alignment when it came to starting an online business. It was just me for several years. And then my husband is now full time as of like I think December. So like, only a few months, maybe not even. Sorry, no, 2 months ago. So I've been full time since October of last year is when I left corporate America. And so it's just me and my husband. And I have one girl in customer experience. So, yes, I'm wearing too many hats, but I have gotten really good at project management and utilizing
I mean,
software.
you're like an eight-figure brand by yourself, barely, and now your husband and this, like, congrats. First off, how do you do that? I mean, I feel bad about myself now. The next time I
Oh,
complain not being able or not having time to do something, I'll think about you.
yeah, it's been like I said in the beginning, I work way more now than I did when I was like at burnout. But it's different when you're investing the hours in yourself and your own business and you see the benefit that you can reap personally and what you can build for your family or yourself, whatever your motivator is. It's different than investing those hours in like the corporate grind.
But in hindsight, is there any particular role that you say I should have hired that person or for that role back then when I was doing X
Oh
in
my God,
revenue?
customer experience. I did customer service for way too long. I was like, it was just the bane of my existence. I cared so much though about every single word that was said between the brand and a customer that I just like could not relinquish control. It was the hardest thing for me was to outsource customer service. And everyone was like, there's all these companies now that you can like fully outsource it to like bots and AI agents and people. And I'm like, absolutely not. Because I understand the capacity of AI and the capability and all of these things, and people love it. Or outsourcing customer service or other simple tasks like that. But I know when I'm talking to an AI bot or someone who doesn't actually work for the company, when I'm chatting to any brand or software or anything, and I like despise that experience as a customer. And so I just knew like that wasn't it for me. And these women that I'm connecting with on social media, like I'm building a brand as a real person and as a mom. And that's what's like relatable about the brand. And people like see my kids, me, them wearing it. A lot of my stuff is like videos of me showing the products and talking about it and like me at my factory. And so to then talk to someone like so disconnected just felt really wrong. And I just cared so much. I like interviewed a few people for it a while back and I just feel like got nerves and was like, no, like they're not right. They don't have the tone. Like it was my baby, right? And like everyone thought they were talking to me because they had been for so long. People literally still address the inbox, "Hi Dinah." And sometimes I have one girl who works for me and sometimes she'll forward it to me and be like, "Do you know them?" And I'm like, "No," but they like know me.
I feel that they know you because they do through what you post.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They all know me. Like I let them into my life. And like I am the one talking on behalf of the brand. And so I should have hired it way sooner because I'm telling you, like I would be like my eyes burning at 3 in the morning. And I'm like, I only have 22 more tickets. Like I can do it. And so that was like the biggest relief when I did it. And like just yesterday, she's gotten very busy. And I was like, we had our weekly, and I was like, please, like, we need to get you some help because I cannot lose you. You are like my saving grace. If I had to ever return to this in a full capacity, I would fully lose my mind. And so that's something that like everyone thinks that could have been easy. That's like the first thing you outsource and it's easy. But I just thought that that was the most critical piece of people feeling like they were still talking to someone, me or a spokesperson of the brand who like talked like them, understood their kids, the sizing. Like I have a lot of people be like, "Mom brain, I ordered this in the middle of the night. What was I thinking? It's the total wrong size." And my response is like, "Been there. That's the worst. Like sending you a label. Here's your correct size." Like no hassle. Just like, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be robotic. Like you're outside of our return window by 2 days. It's like, no, they told me a personal story that I can resonate and relate to. And like, we're going to do everything we can to A, make them laugh and bring some like levity to the situation, and B, make it right. And you can't achieve that with like an AI or a team that you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this might seem like counterintuitive. But we see every person out there, including myself, like all of us talking about the AI hype, and I believe it's great. However, I think in the past, people were waiting for technology, and now technology is waiting for people, because we don't know how to use it. There's so many options out there, so many things. And we feel that the more of it we use, the smarter we are. And we forget that one of the core advantages that we will have these days as founders and as brands is to humanize to keep the human touch is for now. We don't know in the future, but at least for now, because many brands are going to think that they won because they optimized the everything due to using the latest AI technology. But in the end, as you said, whenever we use AI, we all say great things about AI, but everyone is embarrassed or despised, as you said, when they are in the other seat. Whenever
Right.
somebody sees LinkedIn with an M dash, it's like, it's AI. Yeah, that like we are all using AI. Like, so we use AI, move the M dash and all this AI look stuff. And then when we interact with that machine, it's like, I want a human, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
why? I don't know, but it's a competitive advantage, actually. One more thing I'll add to that, like everyone is obsessed. And I talk to many founders, work with many brands with the agency. I speak with many founders every single weekend. Everyone is so obsessed with attribution to a degree that is not healthy. I think it's great, but everyone is the opposite with zero party data. For those who don't know what this is the data that people, the users, willingly give you through customer calls, surveys, blah blah blah. So there's a gold mine of information to win
In the
these days.
customer service inbox.
Yeah, I find the money in your pockets. I always tell founders because it's like, think about this. Cost to acquire customers is going up, margins are thinner. So instead of saying, how can we decrease the cost to acquire a customer, which is valid, but there's a limit to how much you can do that, we should be asking ourselves, how can we make more money on the back end too? Not instead, how can we make more money on the back end to afford the acquisition of new customers as well. And part of that is by, I believe at least, and prove that many times is by aligning your marketing with the way your customers behave. Many brands don't have that. Many brands guess who their customers are. That goes to their marketing. Like the other day, I told a brand through an analysis that 72, this is strong, 72% of their customers were gift givers. They weren't buying for themselves. And half of them were giving those gifts to close family members. Their marketing didn't say anything about gifts or something like that. That's how blind we are these days, because we're obsessed about did it come from Google or from Meta only?
Yeah. Oh, that's like hits so true to home because in my world prior to Little Trouble, working for a founder and a team, like, a C-suite team, a small one. I started the company when they were smaller than me now, which is actually crazy. And was there for 5 years, scaled them well beyond where I'm at now. And attribution was like always the topic. And it was so exhausting to a degree because it was like, I understand we care. Like, I've been singing from the rooftops for a long time that attribution is like not the be all end all and a more of like an all boats rise situation. Like, let's look at obviously contribution margin is really what we should be talking about, not like ROAS and attribution. And people just like, a lot of brands don't know what contribution margin even is. And that's like another issue where it's like, well, you're just dumping money into these platforms. So then I'd get off on a tangent. But anyways, my point was it was exhausting at a certain point because it's like we can care about this and talk about this and that's valid. But at the end of the day, what we really care about are three things: AOV, return purchase rate, and then we care about CAC, sure. But like we really care about these other margins: conversion rate, traffic, AOV, repeat purchase. Like there are lifetime value. There are so many other things that contribute to the growth holistically of the business and the profitability of the business. When we're only talking about attribution, it's like such a road to quick capital burnout. Yeah, and with even that brand, it was so clear that like the money and the opportunity was in the inbox. That was a huge function though at the last company I was with and that I've carried over was we cared deeply about asking customers what they wanted, what their experience was, what could we do differently. And that's like the same at Little Trouble is that's why it matters so much and they do know me. I'm in the DMs an ungodly amount with like just my customers about like and or in the inbox or via surveys. I do a lot of like post-purchase surveys and I use it. I ask like, who are you buying this for? I have tons of gift givers, grandparents. It's like a huge demographic of mine. And so I do a ton of marketing and ads to grandparents because they're big gift givers. And if you see on my ads in the comments, it's my grandson loves this, cutest thing for my granddaughter. Like I saw those ad comments maybe a year and a half ago. It was a trend of like, okay, there's grandmas in Facebook. They're not on Instagram. There's grandmas on the Facebook ads. And then I started marketing towards grandmas. Grandma's never seen a shirt this cool for Sunday service or like grandma's favorite gift for Christmas. And it just was like Pandora's box opened up of what are the options. And then you start to get this like traction. And so now it's like so fun. It's like all the grandparents are in the comments sharing organic picture reviews on my Facebook ads. So it's like talk about attribution. It's a later down effect because now we have so much scaling opportunity on Facebook or Meta. And because I like listened to my customer, started talking to that customer. And that wasn't my customer when I started. My customer was me, millennials. It was not my mom. That's for
Right.
sure. And so now it's transformed greatly because my customer was like telling me who they were and what they were doing.
Yeah, so I really agree. A few months ago, we did a webinar on the 10 top things that work for the best brands I speak with, at least on this podcast, my agency, etc. And none of the 10 were tactics or fad things or ad related, email related. It was all about the fundamentals. And one of them, again, I learned from people like you every single day. I'm lucky to be able to absorb a lot of information. So to you, thank you, of course. And one of them was going beyond the storefront. This brand, Born Primitive, they do $200 million or so. I was speaking with the founder, and he was like, how involved they are in the community. The same with Black Rifle Coffee Company. I spoke with the CMO the other day. Portland Leather Goods. I spoke with Curtis Matsko the other day. So like those companies, Battlebox, 8-figure company, they do a reality show, a TV show on Netflix. They have a community. Frostbody have a, I don't know, 70K member Facebook group, Uppy, same thing. So I think it's caring when you care and when you go beyond the storefront, whether it's in real life, online, but you interact with your customers, it goes a long way. I speak with
Yeah.
new founders sometimes, I'm a mentor for free in some growth mentor pages, to give back. I love doing that. And sometimes they say, oh, how can I automate this and that? And be faster. And it's like, wait, like, are you building this here? A brand we used to work with that wasn't doing well. Well, you will see why in a minute. Like that when we onboarded them, they filled out the ICP worksheet, like the ideal customer profile worksheet with ChatGPT. That's how little they know customers. So that doesn't go a long way. You can build with that baseline, right?
Yeah. Which it's like, that's the other part of AI. Like, we know, at least when you're a user of AI in a certain capacity, you know, when you're reading AI or like ingesting AI. And so when you read that on like about pages or product descriptions or anything, it's just like, where's the soul in it? And I so agree with you of like, there are so many benefits of leveraging AI, but I used to get asked that all the time and still now of like, what do you think about AI or like what AI like services are you using? And I'm like, God, honestly, I kind of hate AI. Like I use it in a lot of capacities when it's needed, but like I feel like yes, we do have an aversion to it on the other side, just like you said. And I think there's like a time and a place for that. Like sure, automate my inbox. Like that's cool, but that's not a customer facing experience. And you can tell when someone uses AI, like especially like some brands that are starting up or even like AI ads and like all of this like duplication and creation. It's what everyone's talking about in e-com and tech. But like, have you read the comments on those ads from real people? They hate it. It's like this was made with AI. This is fake, especially in my category. Like in kids, how weird would it be to start like using AI at this stage? Like we haven't The masses have not adopted that concept yet with grace. In some categories, for sure, when you get like the cool big brands using AI to make like their massive shoe in the middle of the city, right? Like, cool. We get those ads all the time for what like the apps can do, like upload a photo and like turn your product into this like crazy AI app. But when you actually get into like the nitty gritty, similar to like the inbox or the comments, the customer, the person who's actually ingesting that content and buying doesn't love AI and they don't trust it. As from a company, from a brand perspective, like they want to, because we've probably been so inundated with all of these fake pop-up brands. For a direct to consumer brand, especially a new one, there's such a huge bridge to gap with customer trust. Like from getting your ad, the amount of comments I see them, I am now like I dig in the ad comments of brands I see of like, is this real? Anyone purchased from them? This looks fake. Like we are trained to question now if things are real or fake. And so when you're a real brand in a D2C e-com social media world, like you're facing that perception and that battle. So I think it's a really fine line of like utilizing things that are fake or are AI generated because people are already questioning if you're going to ship their product. And so
I think
you don't need
I
to be
cannot be
sure.
from now, but I think that there's a parallelism to stock footage in the old days. Like brands using stock footage, like now many brands want to use AI in their, let's say, videos for the ads or so. And back then, many brands didn't have their own material and they was like, can we use stock footage? Yeah, some stock footage probably won't be harmful, but if it's replacing your core product and it's not really your product, showing on camera. So probably we haven't thought of this until now, but probably is, of course, this is 100x more complex and better quality because you can get, the your real product and you can do whatever you want with it with AI. But the thing is, going back to the roots, to the core conversation that we were having is like being authentic, right? With AI, without AI, the thing is to really grow a business, and you can say that better than me. It's caring, being there, knowing, understanding what your customers want, who they are, the new ones that appear over time because the people who bought from you in the beginning might not be the same then when you grow or you release new product lines. I don't know, right? Probably the last questions I have for you, because I can keep going forever, to be respectful with your time. Probably we discussed what you have done to unlock each level of growth. What do you have in mind for the next one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been approached by some bigger wholesale opportunities for an in-store brick and mortar position, which I was hesitant to in the beginning because I've worked in ecom and direct to consumer brands my whole career. So I love owning the whole customer journey from A to Z. I feel very confident in that approach and the funnel and just knowing it all. So in terms of knowing the experience, there's always so much more to learn. So for wholesale, I was like, I just want to make sure I like understand who my customer is, how to market and talk to them in different areas. In store versus online is going to be a totally different thing. So I've been holding off for a while, but that is on the horizon for ways to unlock another level of growth. Again, back to that trust thing as well. An in-person ability to feel and see adds legitimacy and trust. So that's a part of it. It's not just about like sales or growth unlock in that way. Kind of what I'm starting at the end of this year, brand collabs, like aligning with brands that have a really cool foundation or story. Some of them specifically that comes out end of this year is like such a cool moment for us. Long legacy, big history of the brand. And to be able to partner and say like, and normally it's because the founders have kids now. Like it's so cool. Even if they've had this business for years and years and years, if they're in this like new stage of parenthood or they're back in parenthood, like, years later, some of these brands have like a teenager, the founder, and now they have another baby or a 2-year-old. There's like a really cool opportunity, like I was saying earlier, of like meeting of the minds. So those are big on the horizon, like large brand collabs and wholesale. And then product diversification and category expansion, I have found has been like the way to really propel growth forward. I had a paid plan for 100%, but to get past that, I've noticed it's like micro product drops. People want new stuff, new categories, and expansion. And it also helps like control market share and mind share too.
Thank you. I was for saying that. I mean, it's not a coincidence that you everything that you said before in the beginning, like the whole conversation, really, the how hard you work, but the focus you have, and the right strategy, and in this case, product diversification, and releasing new products and having new things to offer, like it's part of the strategy per se. I was talking to a founder a few weeks ago. It's a client actually, and they were saying, "Why do we need to? Why are you so obsessed about like Brian about launching new products?" We were building the marketing calendar, and it was like, what do you have planned, to launch? Well, nothing. Well, it's been like, I don't know, 6, 8 months without any new product drop. Why do you keep repeating that? They were saying. And it's like, because it's a fundamental part to grow. And it was like, well, I don't know. They were like, and you're validating that
And
too.
it services that existing customer that the people are. So I think people forget about the existing customer because they're like, I get told that that's so funny. You said that to like at the end of the conversation, because that's one of those things of you can like advice, but you don't always have to take it. Because I was always told like, you don't have to diversify so much. There's always new kids being born. And I'm like, but then I'm just constantly chasing acquisition and new customers when I have this like massive wealth of customers that I can nurture at the same time. You know what they want? New products and product
Yep.
diversification and like newness and the marketing calendar. When I went from this to this is when I started aligning micro drops on the calendar. Like instead of doing like one big drop and then having nothing for a whole season, it was like capsules of like my spring, fall. I have it planned, but I'm like micro dropping it. So there's always interest. You know who also loves that? Meta for acquisition. So like it's all full circle of like, yes, it's still going towards my CAC. It's helping acquisition, but at the same time, my repeat customer rate is like upwards of 60%. And while I'm scaling like massively, and so they want it, I'm able to service them. Lifetime value is looking really good, especially compared to the CAC that everyone cares so much about, and attribution. But like Meta loves it. They love new stuff all the time. And everyone's like volume of creative, but then they're like, it's the secret sauce. And like, how do you find the right thing? And it's like, well, you can't just do the same thing, 12 variations over and over and expect it to always work. It's kind of like madness. If you want to give it volume, you also have to give it depth and soul. And like, that's what I think AI just can't do. And like, we have to still do, at least today. It'll be interesting to see if 5 years from now, all of these brands that made 100 images from their one product image, if they're still around and if they're selling millions of dollars worth of products, maybe I'll eat my words about AI generation and replacing the human element. But for now, I don't know.
Lena, I want to thank you again for being here in the podcast. I had a great time. Before you go, why don't you please tell the audience where they can go to learn more about you and Little Trouble?
Yeah, awesome. I'm littletrouble.com. And then you can also find us at Little Trouble on Instagram. And then we're also on TikTok, which is actually a really fun platform. If anyone is on there as well, it's at Little Trouble with a little underscore at the end.
Thank you, Dinah.
Thanks, Brian.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.